I'm going to start with that. I'm going to end with that. It's going to be in the middle a lot. That is the best way to reach the payroll department at TUSD. You may have tried to get through by phone, and we're busy because our phone lines are constant in that. So please email us. Don't email me, email payroll@TUSD1.org. Things that you should know. Your system access and portal access will be cut off as soon as we process your separation paperwork. If you need any pay statements or W-2s from the iVisions portal, print those out in advance of your separation. We charge $2 a pay statement for former employees. We will print the last 2 pay statements for former employees at no charge, or you can email us. You can email payroll@TUSD1.org after your separation to request the pay statement. And any pay issued after your separation date, we gladly provide that statement at no charge. We'll email it to you. But if you want the last 6 months of pay statements, please print those off now. Number 3, your final pay will be issued via direct deposit, and that's going to the account that's on file at the time of your separation. Please email us on the pay date to request the pay statement. Your alternate pay plan summer reserve will be paid out on the next pay cycle once your separation EPAR has been processed by payroll. So some of you are taking this seminar in advance. You're going to separate at the end of the 2nd semester. You will not be paid throughout the summer. We will refund that alternate pay summer reserve when we process your separation. For employees who qualify for a separation payout, we have to get those payouts approved by the governing board. And you may not get that payout for 2 to 3 months, depending on timing. If we have just recently sent the list to governing board for approval and yours is processed right after that, it's going to be about 2.5 months. So just please be prepared for that. Once the governing board approves the payout, your separation payout will be set up on the next regular pay cycle. The payroll associate will send a letter to your address on file to let you know the pay date and amounts. And the amounts are gross pay. So we get this question all the time, why did I didn't get the full amount? Well, there are mandatory deductions that have to come off those payouts, such as state and federal tax, Social Security, and Medicare. And if you're hired prior to 1984, you're going to have an ASRS contribution. Now, some payouts will be direct deposited to the account on file at the time of your separation, or depending on the bargaining unit, if you meet certain criteria, that payout may be sent to Precision Retirement. Either way, you're going to get a letter from the payroll associate once that payout has been processed. You can email payroll@TUSD1.org on the pay date of the payout to request that earnings statement. If your payout meets the criteria for sending to Precision Retirement, the company will contact you for an exit interview. If you believe that your payout meets those criteria and you haven't heard from Precision, please email payroll so that we can put you in touch with the employer representative. Now, whether you separate at the end of the 1st semester or you separate next semester, you will receive a 2023 W-2 from TUSD, and that 2023 W-2 is not going to go out until January of 2024. So please email the Human Resources Department at hrdocs@TUSD1.org so that address can be updated in the system after your separation. Number 7, when you submit your retirement to Arizona State Retirement System, they will post the ending payroll verification to their website for the TUSD payroll department to complete. And we can't do that until you've been issued all final pay. So in the meantime, their system is going to send you an email or a letter about 10 days after your retirement date stating your employment hasn't submitted the EPV, and Arizona State Retirement needs that in order to calculate your retirement. It also says you may want to contact your employer. Please don't do that. Disregard that notice, and I'll tell you why. That notice is for employers that sit on their ending payroll verifications and don't get them out in a timely manner. But TUSD payroll doesn't do that. We don't sit on them. If we haven't done your ending payroll verification, it's because we're waiting for your final pay. We're waiting for sometimes notification that your separation has occurred. There's a variety of reasons, but we do these as quick as we can. We don't want them sitting in that queue, and we get them out of there. And every year I tell people, they call up and they panic and they're like, you haven't done it. And I said, what did I tell you at the retirement seminar? I said, don't panic. So you can disregard that notice. You don't need to call us, because I can assure you that the TUSD payroll department, we submit those ending payroll verifications as soon as possible. In the meantime, in Arizona State Retirement, we'll talk more about this. They send you estimate checks for, I put down here for the first 3 months, it might be 2 months, but they send estimate checks so that until all your final benefit accounting has been done, you're still getting something. So they know, Arizona State Retirement knows, that we can't do that ending payroll verification until the final pay is done. And they're not expecting us to do that. Last but not least, if you have questions, please email payroll@TUSD1.org. It may take us, we respond to everything within a day, but that's the best way, the fastest way to get a hold of the USD payroll department. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl, for that. Cheryl, and I'm not quite sure if Jen is also on right now, but before you guys head out, if you don't mind, there's a couple of payroll geared questions in the Q&A. If you don't mind taking a look at those, please.
Okay.
And
the first question is about precision retirement, and how do we know if it pertains to that particular employee?
yeah, we'll get to that piece of it once Mark presents. But the other two regarding the pay stub, and also as far as the font size on the document, please keep in mind, attendees, that sometimes as presenters we have to kind of minimize the screen or the document just so that it can be viewed. We'll try to move those and make them larger and move them up and down if if we're able to do so. Otherwise, please know that we will have this information available as well upon request. If you want to email the benefits department at benefits@TUSD1.org, and we can certainly forward you the information as well.
This document is actually also currently on the payroll SharePoint site. I think we have a tab called payroll information, and there's a list of documents, and it's just called separation information. So anyone can view that on the payroll SharePoint. The pay statement for the separation payout, yeah, is definitely free. Any pay issued after your separation date, those pay statements are emailed to you at no charge. It's just that right now, as an active employee, you have access to your pay statements. So if you need those pay statements, print them off before you leave.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Next we have Serena English joining us from ESI, also known as, or excuse me, Educational Services, Inc. Most of you may have heard of them or referred to as ESI. So Serena, whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for having us here again this year. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all about this information. So we are the return to work partner for TUSD. We partner with the district to provide you with the opportunity to continue working and collect your pension at the same time. So I'm here to kind of share all of that information with you and tell you a little bit about how it works. But before I get into that, I just want to start with a big thank you for all of your amazing careers. Whether you are a classified, certified, or administrative employee, the impact that you have made on your community and the students of TUSD will far extend your many years of service. And all of us at ESI are so very appreciative for the work that you do. Definitely makes a huge difference. And also just to note, we are in a great partnership with TUSD. So we do work on this program together. So if you join the program, you decide it's right for you, then you have 2 teams working for you instead of just 1. Okay, so just to start off, our mission is well, with integrity in heart, we support those who serve and educate our community. And we all know what happens when a classroom doesn't have a teacher, or when an experienced employee retires and takes with them all those years of knowledge. It's one reason we love Retire or Hire, is that it keeps the most experienced staff where we need them the most. And that's in the classrooms or on the bus or just in any position there at the district. So. Okay, so a little bit about why the program exists. ASRS is going to get into a lot of detail about how the pension program works, but just so you know, according to the IRS, anytime you retire and take a pension, you must complete what's called a separation of service. And each state defines what that separation of service looks like. Here in Arizona, state law requires anyone who retires from ASRS and who wants to continue working for an ASRS employer to either abide by the 2020 rule, which means you can only work 20 hours a week or less for 20 weeks or less per year, or stay out of work for 12 consecutive months. Plus there's forms to complete, and you have to make sure to stay in compliance, or else you risk penalties to your benefit. If you come and work for ESI, we are not an ASRS employer. So you come to work for us, we basically lease you back to the district, and you can continue to work full-time in your current position while collecting your pension and earning extra money towards the end of your career. So it's a great program, and you're not limited by those pension rules. And again, lucky for me, ASRS is here to give you a lot more information during their section. So I definitely encourage you to pay very close attention to their portion of the presentation. Okay, so big question we get all the time about the program is, how much do I get paid? What is my new paycheck going to be? So currently you receive your paycheck every 2 weeks from TUSD with your current rate of pay. Once you retire and join ESI's Retire or Hire program, or PREO, as you guys would know it as, you will start receiving 2 income streams. So every 2 weeks you would be paid from ESI instead of TUSD, and your salary is paid in equal payments over the length of your contract. Then once a month, you will receive your pension benefit from ASRS. So I know you're saying, okay, that's great, but I want to know how much I'll be making, right? So I'm not sure. I believe this worksheet might be on your internal website. If not, I'm going to share a link to it as well. And so if you don't have the worksheet, then you can just grab a pen and paper, or maybe take a screenshot of this information. So in the first box, you'll see your estimated benefit from ASRS. You do need to go on their website to get this information. So if you haven't been on their website yet, I highly encourage you to do so. You set up your own personal portal. You can see your benefit estimate. There's lots of other decisions you need to make there. So, but if you know that amount, you can go ahead and write it in the box if you do have the worksheet. In the next box is your income when you are a return to work employee. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your current rate of pay, multiply that by 80%, which is what TUSD, their parameters for their return to work program. So when you're an ESI employee, you receive 80% of your exiting salary from TUSD. So if you add those 2 amounts, your estimated benefit from ASRS and 80% of your exiting salary, it'll give you a good idea of what your estimated new pay will be during your time with ESI. And then there in the third box of your worksheet, there's special pay and time off. So the additional plan for TUSD is you'd receive 100% of your supplemental pay. There's no performance pay while on ESI. No insurance support, but there is an ASRS subsidy if you're qualified. I'm going to talk about that just a little bit in a moment. You get 1 PTO day per month. Holidays are the same as when you're a district employee. You can apply for the program anytime throughout the year. And then you're on ESI for 1 year to complete that separation of service, and you can renew with district approval, or some positions are hired back directly to the district. So if you have questions about those parameters, just contact your HR representative and they can give you some more information. Okay, so I mentioned insurance, definitely a big expense for most people and a big concern for retirees especially. So let's talk about your options. So first of all, if you're eligible for Medicare, then you want to reach out to your benefits department and make sure you get signed up properly. If not, here are your other options. First would be COBRA. So with COBRA, everything would stay the same. Your benefits would not change. You would just be paying the additional premium that the district pays on your behalf. And then there's I believe a 2.5% administrative fee. So the district can tell you what the COBRA rates are if you want to explore that option. ESI is another option. We do have benefits available for our full-time employees. Our rates change every year. They have been increasing. We used to be more competitive. Unfortunately, COVID kind of did that in. So we're more than happy to share those rates with you if you are interested. And you can see our benefits booklet on our website under the Employee Resources tab. I'm going to share a link to our website and some other information in the chat when I'm done here. ASRS is another option for insurance, and your coverage would be the same for as long as you're retired. And then if it's an option for you to go on your spouse's insurance as a dependent, that's another option. And I will mention again the subsidy. So if you choose COBRA or ASRS and you are qualified for the subsidy, meaning that you would you've had 10 years of service with ASRS, then you want to work closely with your benefits department to see how that subsidy works. It starts at $150, and it can be a little bit complicated, but it is there for you if you choose COBRA or ASRS only. Okay. And let's see, so how all this works. So it takes 3 teams to make this happen, TUSD, ASRS, and ESI. The worksheet has a little bit more detail on this. I have limited time here, so I'm just gonna quickly go over the steps. So step 1 is that you need to make sure that you're in good standing and you are approved to join the program by your supervisor and HR. Next, you want to begin the retirement process with ASRS. We recommend about 3 to 6 months out from your retirement date to start that process. And again, that website is the best place to start. And you have to be retired to join ESI. So we can't bring you on board if you're not officially retired with ASRS. So that's a step you'd be surprised that some people skip over. And then step 3 is that you would apply with ESI. Now I say apply because we do need to collect your normal information that any other new employer would collect from you. So your E-Verify, so if you have a passport or your driver's license and birth certificate, we'll get copies of that. You will need an IVP fingerprint card. Any certifications that are relevant for your position, we'll get copies of that. We make it very easy to upload that. I believe the district will help with the E-Verify process. So you don't have to come all the way to Scottsdale to visit us unless you really want to. We'd be happy to see you. And then we will do a renewed background check. And I know that's a pain because you've been with the district forever, but you are new to us and it's for the safety of the kids. So we do a renewed background check. And then once you complete all those steps, you will get an ESI contract. It does take a little bit more time because the district and ESI go back and forth to make sure everything is correct. So be patient during that process. It's not going to come at the same time as your normal contract, but we don't mind you reaching out to us anytime during the process. We know that this is that's a big change. It's nerve-wracking. We take it very seriously. We understand that it's different. So we are always here for you. You can ask as many questions as you need to. And then TUSD is here for you as well. So and ASRS is here for you. So again, pay attention closely to their presentation. I'm going to put this 7 steps to joining ESI. There's a link to that form in the chat here in a moment. And just a link to our Retire or Hire page so you can do some exploring. We do have a whole video on there too if you want to get a little bit more in depth, but I'm gonna relinquish my time here, and I appreciate you all, and I will be around for the Q&A later if you have any questions. See if I can stop sharing here. Oh, you got it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Serena. And just to clarify, if you don't mind attaching those links into the Q&A, that is the feature that the attendees will be able to access for those important links with tons of information. Thank you so much for that.
Sure.
Next up, we have Mark Powers from Precision Retirement Group. Now, if you all can see my agenda on the screen here, you'll see those asterisks right below. It indicates that this is only applicable for those employees in the ELI, TEA consensus, white collar food service, and exempt administrator groups with regards to their sick leave and severance payout. You will be able to find more information on this as well in the employee network, the SharePoint network. There is a link in there to the employee agreements, and that is where you can find more information to your bargaining agreement and get more information as to whether or not this will apply to you. But I am ready to go ahead and turn the share screen over to Mr. Powers to get started on his presentation. Oh, Mark, we've got you on mute.
Okay. Sorry about that. I did not see I was mic'd up. Once again, my name is Mark Powers from the Precision Retirement Group. Congratulations on moving on to ESI, or moving on into retirement years. The program you're going to see tonight is called the Prime Choice Plan. This is the accumulated sick and vacation pay solution for your current payout that you're receiving if you're an eligible employee from Tucson Unified. Who is Precision Retirement Group? We are a nationally recognized benefit consulting company, and we specialize in the public sector marketplace. The program, the Prime Choice Plan, is in its 15th year with school districts in Arizona. Well, to start off, what is the Prime Choice Plan? I'm sure many of you have come through other presentations before, maybe have heard about it. But what the program is very simple. Tucson Unified School District established the Prime Choice Plan to convert your accumulated sick and vacation pay to an employer contribution to a post-employment benefit plan. Once again, if you're an eligible employee, your sick and vacation pay has been converted to an employer contribution to a post-employment benefit plan. The benefit plan consists of two options for you. Option one is the Prime Plan. Prime Plan is an HRA to provide tax-free benefits for post-retirement healthcare expenses. It's a medical expense reimbursement trust. Option one, once again, is the Prime Plan. It's a medical expense reimbursement trust. Or if you don't need money for healthcare, then the employer is going to make a contribution into option two, a special pay 403B plan. A special pay 403B plan provides a tax deferral option. So in essence, what happens was, prior to the program being put in place.
Mark, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Rosie. Some of our attendees are having difficulty hearing. It seems as though your mic is kind of fading in and out.
Is that better?
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go over the program again real quickly. The district established the Prime Choice Plan to convert accumulated sick and vacation pay to an employer contribution to a post-employment benefit plan. The plan consists of two options. Option one is the Prime Plan, an HRA that provides tax-free benefits. It's a medical expense reimbursement trust. If the employee does not need post-retirement health care, then the employer is going to make a contribution of the sick and vacation pay to a special pay 403B plan to provide a tax deferred option. So in summary on this little slide here is prior to the plan being put in place, a retiree would have been forced to pay taxes on their sick and vacation pay. The district worked closely with us to create a post-retirement benefit option versus getting a taxable distribution. Once again, who is eligible for the plan? Please check your agreements with the district. But also, you must be age 55 at the time of separation from service and having a payout of at least $3,000. Once again, to be eligible for the plan, you must be age 55 at the time of separation.
Sorry, Mark, I think we lost you again.
I don't know what's going on here. So, did you lose me? Hello?
Can you hear us, Mark?
The plan. Okay, once again, you have to check with your HR department to find out if your bargaining group is eligible. And then in addition to that, in order to be eligible for the plan, you must be age 55 or reach your 55th birthday at the time of separation from service and be receiving at least over $3,000. If you don't meet both of these criteria,
I'm so sorry. We've lost you again.
decide.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it'll make a difference if you want to maybe turn the camera off and maybe it'll, I don't know. I know I've tried it myself, turn off my camera and it picks up on my mic, but I'm not sure if that'll be the same for you.
Okay, if you hold on for 1 second. Great. Okay, once again, we're talking about the prime choice plan where the employer contribution will go into one of two programs, the medical expense reimbursement trust or a 403B plan. How is the employer contribution to either one of these plans determined? This is done through our exit interview, whereby Ann Brenner, our representative, will speak with you over the phone and do an exit interview. Okay, based on your exit interview, the retiree will receive a contribution to either the prime plan or the special pay 403B plan based on answers to the exit interview questions. So once again, you'll speak with Ann Brenner to make a plan determination of which benefit program best meets your needs. I'm giving everybody a cheat sheet here because these are the questions we go over and we want to accomplish today. And that is, when you retire, do you understand your employer's post-retirement health insurance coverage for you, your spouse and your dependents, and all the costs associated with your post-retirement health care? Are you staying with the school district's health insurance coverage? Does your spouse have health insurance that will cover you? Do you have access to other health insurance in retirement? When will you be eligible for Medicare? The biggest question is, after you've seen the presentation tonight, is paying for post-retirement health insurance coverage and other post-retirement health care costs for you, your spouse, and dependents a concern of yours? That's the key question. So after tonight, and after you analyze where you're getting your health insurance, is how would you like to pay for those and which method best suits your needs? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the prime choice plan. So with my first retiree, it has been determined that paying for post-retirement health care costs is a concern. Once again, we met with a retiree and they're going to be going on COBRA and they have to pay the full cost for their insurance premiums. So paying for health care costs is a concern of theirs. Therefore, the employer contribution from TUSD will be directed to the prime plan, the medical expense reimbursement trust. And these are the key pictures. These are the key focuses right here. Once again, we met with a retiree and the exit interview was that the employee needed assets for health care, and the employer will make a contribution of the accumulated sick and vacation pay to the prime plan. What are the retiree benefits of an employer contribution to the prime plan? The number one benefit, similar to an HSA, but it's different, is tax-free reimbursements for post-retirement healthcare costs, including insurance premiums, Medicare, long-term care, co-pays, and more. So the number one benefit of having your sick and vacation pay directed to the Prime plan is that you can use this money tax-free to reimburse yourself for your after-tax post-retirement health care expenses. Additionally, there is no FICA taxes. There is no federal or state income taxes. The account has tax-free earnings of currently 1%, which has just gone up to 2%. And you can also be reimbursed for your spouse and dependents expenses. So the program, the Prime plan itself, the HRA, provides a triple tax benefit. It is a tax-free contribution by the employer, earning tax-free interest, and you can use this money tax-free to reimburse yourself. Okay, so once again, it's an employer contribution into a tax-free account specifically designed to provide you a tax-free money for healthcare expenses. This is a retiree plan. Okay, if anybody is familiar with that 1,800 pages under the ACA, it gets special treatment as a retiree HRA. If you return to work directly for TUSD, you cannot be reimbursed from your account until you separate from service again. So what that means is while you're an active employee, we cannot reimburse you. This is only for employees who retired, received an employer contribution, and are no longer employed by the district. This also means that if you go back to work for Tucson and you leave again, you can be reimbursed for all the expenses that you incurred while you went back to work for TUSD. So it's not a use it or lose it. It's there for you to be reimbursed for some time in the future until your money's gone. And if you go back to work for TUSD, you can be reimbursed for the expenses that you incurred while you went back to work after your original retirement. The reimbursement process is very, very simple. There's not a debit card for the plan. What we find is that most retirees use their funds each month to be reimbursed for their premium payments. We can set up the reimbursement process to occur automatically each month, so you only have to complete the form once per year. And really what that means is if you're going on COBRA, or you're going on another insurance policy, we can set it up that every month we can automatically pull money from your HRA account with us and deposit it electronically into your checking account. So I only have to do the paperwork once a year. And that's simply done by completing a reimbursement claim form and submitting a copy of your paid expense or health insurance premium. The reimbursement claim form is very, very simple, just a couple rows and a couple columns, and then we can set you up automatically to reimburse you for your premium payments. You can also submit for other things such as medical expenses, pharmacy expenses, vision and dental. Reimbursements usually occur within 30 days after receiving the form. So in the first person that we met with, paying for post-retirement health care was a concern of theirs, and that they needed their funds to be used to pay for their post-retirement health care expenses that include their insurance premiums. But what about the employee who does not need money for health care? For the employee who is not concerned about paying for health care, once you do your exit interview with Ann Brenner and it has been determined that you do not need money for health care, then the employer will make the contribution into the special pay 403B plan. Okay, once again, so if you do not need money for health care, then the employer makes a contribution of your sick and vacation pay to a special pay 403B plan. Once again, in the second person I talked with, the exit interview was that the employee did not need money for health care. Therefore, the employer is going to make a contribution of their sick and vacation pay to the special pay 403B plan. What are the retiree benefits of this plan? With the special pay 403B plan, it's completely liquid. It's transferable. There is no waiting period to request your funds. So once the employer makes the contribution into the special pay 403B plan, you could take it out as a taxable distribution immediately. Or you can roll it over to your own 403B, IRA, or another eligible plan. There is never a charge in or out. Like the medical expense reimbursement trust, okay, you're not going to pay Medicare on it, but this gives you the opportunity to defer federal and state income taxes. You'll have a fixed interest bearing account currently at 2%, and there is no sales or surrender charges. There is no FICA taxation. And so therefore, as a retiree, you save 7.65%. I want to go back a little on that account paying 1%. That is for new contributions from the district going forward. We have a fair amount of money still at 1%. So the averages will be over 1%
Okay, everybody gets the group interest being earned on the account for the Tucson Unified Plan. So once again, instead of having the money for healthcare, if paying for healthcare is not a concern of yours, the employer is going to make a contribution into the special pay 403B plan. And once the money goes into the plan, you can take it out immediately as a taxable distribution, or you can roll it over to your own IRA or another eligible account. Now, these are the big pictures in terms of the financials. Prior to the plan being put in place, we're using a sample payout of $10,000. And using this example and assuming these tax brackets, 3 sets of people receive their funds before you get yours. And the first one is the federal taxes of 25%, state taxes estimated at 5%, and FICA taxes 7.65%. So you may have saved enough sick and vacation pay for a $10,000 payout, but the federal government, the state government, and Social Security gets their taxes, leaving you total taxes of $3,765 and leaving you $6,235 to do whatever you want with. So prior to the plan being put in place, a cash payout would be lessened by these 3 sets of taxes, having total taxes of over $3,000, leaving you a net check of around $6,000. But what happens when the plan is put in place, and what is the benefit for you? In yellow on the right is for the employee who does not need money for health care. The employer made the contribution into the special pay 403B plan. For both federal and state income taxes, those are deferred from taxes. So you get to choose when you want to pay taxes on that money. You can have it stay in this account or roll it to another account and have it deferred to a later date. But sooner or later, you will have to pay taxes on it. By having this money going to a special pay 403B plan, you're going to save 7.65%. So you do have savings of $765 versus having a payout paid directly to you. Now, for the person who needs money for post-retirement health care, their funds are directed to the Prime plan, in blue on the left. As a participant in the Prime plan, they're never going to pay federal taxes on this money. They're never going to pay state taxes on this money. And also they have savings of 7.65%. So the real tax savings increases from $765 to $3,765. Now, if you're retiring this year and you've got to pay your own post-retirement healthcare expenses, you have to kind of look at this slide saying, which pile of money do I want to use to pay for my post-retirement insurance premiums? A pile of money that the federal and state government take their share and leaves you $7,000? Or would you rather have a pile of money which is equal to the full amount contributed by the employer and have a full $10,000 to pay your premiums with or to be reimbursed for? So it's very simple. If you're going to be paying your own post-retirement healthcare expenses, including premiums, having tax-free money is much better than having tax-deferred money that you have to pay taxes on at a later date. Plan earnings. We've set up with the school system that your money goes into a fixed interest-bearing account. So we have a guarantee of principal and a reasonable rate of interest in our key in matching these assets to a known liability. There's no investing in funds. With the medical expense reimbursement trust, you're already getting a big break by not paying federal or state income taxes on the money. In a 403B plan, it goes into the account earning a fixed rate of interest, so there's no risk to your principal. And if in the special pay plan, you can always transfer it out and invest it as you like with your own financial planner in an IRA or another eligible plan. What are the expenses to operate this plan? For the person who does not need healthcare expenses, their money goes into the special pay plan. There is never a charge in, there's never a charge out, there's no administration or record keeping expenses on that program. The employee will never get back less than they put in. If you need money for post-retirement healthcare, we've got a little more work to do under the IRS codes. So we do have a monthly administration charge of $5 a month for the administration and record keeping, and then $4 for each electronic funds transfer to reimburse you for your expenses. If, however, you choose a paper check, there's an $8 charge. So once again, on a special pay 403B, there's no charges at all. But on the Prime plan, we do charge $5 a month for the administration and record keeping, $4 for each electronic reimbursement, and $8 if you want a paper check mailed to you. Okay, please also remember that on a prime plan, that escapes federal and state income taxes. So the cost to operate that expense are coming out of the tax savings. The prime plan. Once your exit interview is completed, Ann Brenner will email you the required forms for either plan. So you'll go through an exit interview with Ann Brenner to make sure that you understand the benefits of both programs, i.e. the medical expense reimbursement trust or the special pay plan. And once your exit interview is completed with Ann, she will email you all the forms required for either plan. All plan administration requirements are performed by Pelion Benefits, Inc., the plan's third-party administrator. We do have 24/7 website access, so you can always go online, check your balance, always check on where your reimbursements are and interest earned. So what is your next to do? First is to submit your intent to retire with Tucson Unified School District. Second is to find out if you're eligible. That is, find out how much you are receiving for your sick and vacation pay. Once you have turned in your paperwork to Tucson Unified and I found out you are eligible, that is that you are 55 or older upon separation from service and be receiving at least $3,000, then the third thing to do is to reach out to Ann Brenner, who handles this case for us, and that's her email address, or you can call Ann at the 800 number to complete your required exit interview. We also call the exit interview our medical needs analysis to make sure you understand the benefits of both plans. Your plan contacts are Ann Brenner. There's her information there. Backup information is Bruce Nelson. Bruce is away today, so I'm handling this for him, but those are his numbers. Pelion Benefits is right there, and you reach out to Christine Chanupa to answer any questions you have about your account, or Johnny James about the reimbursement process. So once again, this is called the Prime Choice Plan. We've had the program in the school district for a few years. The plan converts taxable income, that is your sick and vacation pay, to an employer contribution to a post-retirement benefit plan, okay, that will provide you tax-free money for healthcare or tax-deferred money for retirement purposes. And I know I'm running out of time, and I ate up a little bit, and I apologize for that. And I'm all done.
Thank you, Mark, so much. I know we went a little over on time with the technical difficulties, but nonetheless, you presented a lot of great information and we really appreciate it. Mark, if you are able to take a look at the Q&A, I know that there's some questions coming through in there that you may be able to answer for some of our attendees.
Sure.
Thank you.
From Mario, what happens in the HRA if I die before spending it? Okay, if you meet your demise, which is much better than dying, your spouse or qualified dependents can continue to use the money till it's gone. If there is no spouse or qualified dependents, the money is forfeited back to the employer. The HRA under IRS rules cannot pay out a taxable cash distribution. Okay, from Shelley, how do you figure out your payout? That is something that you'll have to talk to Cheryl about in your payroll department to find out how much you are actually receiving.
Thank you, Mark. I know for some of the attendees, as I had mentioned before, Mark had begun presenting. As far as whether or not you are eligible for that type of payout, if it goes to Precision, to get an estimated calculation of what your sick payout would look like, those are questions to be directed to payroll at TUSD1.org. They usually take about 1 to 2 days to respond. But you can definitely put in an email request for an estimated calculation on your sick leave payout. I know one person had a question if you have to be here more than the 10 years. Again, I encourage you all to take a look at the Employee Network SharePoint for the employee agreements, and it will stipulate in your agreement whether or not you must be with the district 10+ years, and more information as far as the sick leave payout going to Precision rather than a direct payout to you as the employee. In the interest of time, I am going to go ahead and present Kathy Palmer and Angel Hernandez, who are with the Arizona State Retirement System. They will be up next presenting. And again, thank you all for submitting your questions through the Q&A, and we will do our best to continue to answer those through the Q&A.
All right, thank you, Rosie. Let me pull this up. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks, Rosie, for having us today. My name is Kathy Palmer, and I'm a retirement specialist with the Arizona State Retirement System. With me is my colleague, Angel Hernandez, and he'll be answering your questions in the chat. Now, the Destination Insight Route 3 meeting is typically for members who are within 3 years of retirement. So to get started, we're going to talk about the defined benefit plan, because you're probably wondering, what type of plan have you been contributing to with the ASRS? So the defined benefit plan is a 401A plan, not a K, but an A. And that means that we're a cost-sharing, tax-qualified plan between you and your employer. Your employer is sharing the cost of your retirement benefit. And the way they do that is when we withhold money from your paycheck and send it in as a contribution to ASRS, your employer is sending in the same amount. Now, your contributions and the employer contributions are invested, and they are invested into the ASRS trust fund. Now, what that is going to do then is generate income for a lifetime benefit for you. Your account balance, your employee account balance, consists of your contributions plus interest. Your pension payments are initially paid out from this account upon retirement. This account is exhausted usually within the first 6 to 8 years of your retirement. This is your money from your contributions plus interest, and it must be paid back to you or your beneficiary. Now, after your account balance is exhausted, don't worry, you're still going to be getting your pension, because that will then be paid from the employer contributions and the ASRS trust fund, guaranteeing you a lifetime benefit. So now let's discuss the components of the defined benefit formula and how the ASRS calculates your monthly benefit. When thinking about this formula, we want you to consider the following 2 goals. The first is reaching normal retirement, or coming as close to it as you possibly can, which means an unreduced pension benefit to you. The second goal is to increase your benefit and retire with the highest benefit possible. One very important thing to know about the defined benefit plan is that when you retire, the amount of your monthly retirement benefit is determined by a formula, not by the balance that's in your account. The formula takes your total credited service times the graded multiplier times your average monthly salary to calculate your normal unreduced benefit. And in the next several slides, we're going to be featuring each of these components so you can understand them better. All right, so the first part of the formula is credited service, and that's earned in different ways. The most common way to earn service is through the retirement contributions that are withheld from your paycheck. When ASRS receives at least 1 contribution in a month, you are credited with 1 month of service. This includes previous ASRS service, as long as you left the funds on account when you left that ASRS employer, then you're building on top of what you already had. And then the third way is purchasing service, which is also known as service purchase. And that is also included in your credited service. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about purchasing service. The graded multiplier, the second part of the formula, times your years of credited service determines the percentage of your average monthly compensation that you will receive as your benefit when you retire. As you can see, the more years of service you have, the higher the graded multiplier. And the graded multiplier does cap out at 2.30% at 30 years of service. So here's some examples to show you how this works. So from 0 to 19.99, you saw you're at 2.10%. So when you get to that next multiplier at 20 years, you are increased to 2.15%. And that's going to give you about 43% of what you were earning while you were working. At 25 years of service, the graded multiplier is 2.20%, and that will give you about 55% of what you were earning while you were working. At 30 years of service, you'll be at that highest graded multiplier of 2.30%, and you'll get 69% of what you were earning while you were working. Now, a lot of people want to know, is it going to benefit me to continue working if I'm at the highest graded multiplier? Can I get more than 69%? Can I even get 100% of what I was earning while I was working? And the answer is yes. You just have to work a mere 43.5 years. You're still at 2.30%, but when you multiply that, it does come out to 100%. Now, I know it sounds like a long time, but we've had several members who actually work even longer. And in those instances, they're earning more in retirement than they did as an employee. And that's not even counting their Social Security that they will be collecting eventually. The third component of the defined benefit formula is the average monthly compensation. There are two terms used when calculating your average monthly salary. The first term is compensation pay. This is money that you are paid to do your job. Compensation pay includes base pay, overtime, and for school employees, it also includes additional contracts, 301 monies, and career ladder. The other term is termination pay. This is money that you will receive because you are terminating your employment. Termination pay includes annual leave, personal time off, incentives, and sick leave. Your ASRS membership date will determine how your average monthly compensation will be calculated. Some of you may have started contributing to ASRS prior to January 1st, 1984. Some of you may have started contributing to ASRS between January 1st, 1984 and June 30th, 2011. And some began contributing on or after July 1st, 2011. Now, for all salary calculations, the ASRS goes back 10 years of contribution history from your termination date and takes an average of the highest 36 or 60 consecutive months of salary within that 10-year time frame, depending on your membership date. Now, if your membership date was prior to 1984, two calculations are considered, but only one method can be used. So this includes, what we'll do is we're going to go back 10 years and look for the highest 36 months of contributions. We're also going to look for the highest 60 consecutive months of contributions. Now, with the 60-month calculation, we're also going to include your termination pay, but only if contributions have been withheld from your termination pay and sent to ASRS. And whichever one of these calculations is highest, either the 36-month calculation not using your termination pay, or the 60-month calculation, including your termination pay, is the highest, that's the one we're going to use for your average monthly compensation. Now, the majority of our members fall into the middle category. And for those members who started between January 1st, 1984 through June 30th, 2011, the ASRS will go back 10 years from your termination date and take an average of the highest 36 consecutive months of compensation pay only. For all members starting on or after January 1st, 1984, termination pay is no longer used in the calculation. Now, that doesn't mean you're not entitled to your termination pay. You are, but we're just not going to be using it in our calculation. You will still be paid that termination pay from your employer, and no contributions will be withheld. Now, the final category is if your membership date is July 1st, 2011 or later. And in this calculation, ASRS will use the highest 60 consecutive months of compensation pay in the last 10 years, excluding, again, termination pay. All right, so we've talked about what type of plan ASRS provides, and we've talked about how the ASRS calculates your pension. So the next question you may have is, when can I retire? Well, normal retirement means a pension benefit without a reduction. This is also determined by your date of ASRS membership. This information can be found in the Road to Retirement Guidebook and then also on our public website. So for those of you whose membership began before July 1st, 2011, there's more than one way to reach normal retirement. The criteria for normal retirement is 80 points, which is based on your age and your years of service added together. Now, the great thing about the 80-point system is that there is no age limit. So we've had members that were age 48 with 32 years of service who were able to and did take a normal retirement because they had achieved the 80 points. Now, for the rest of us who maybe didn't start working for an ASRS employer in our 20s, we may have to wait until we're 62 with at least 10 years of service. Now, if you add 62 and 10, you do fall short of the 80 points, but it's still considered normal retirement, or age 65 with any number of years. Whichever one of these three happens first for you is when you have reached normal retirement with ASRS. Now, the law regarding normal retirement criteria was changed for new members as of July 1st, 2011, and it eliminates that point-based retirement altogether. So no more 80 points are considered. Effective July 1st, 2011 and after, normal retirement is age 55 with 30 years or more of service, age 60 with 25 years or more of service, age 62 with 10 or more years, and age 65 with no minimum requirement for years of service. The ASRS does offer early retirement for our members, but now there is an age limit. If you plan to retire early, you must be at least age 50 with at least 5 years of service. Early retirement still pays you a lifetime benefit, but it will be permanently reduced based on your age and your years of service at that time. So this slide will allow you to see the reduction percentages involved if you are choosing to retire early. And if your membership date began on or before June 30th, 2011, this is the chart that will reflect those reductions. If your membership date is after that date, then there is another chart that you can find in the Road to Retirement Guidebook and also on our webpage. So let's look at someone that is 55 years old and they have 21 years of service. All right, so that is considered early retirement. They haven't got to 80 points. They're not 62. and they're not 65. So you can see they're going to get 75% of whatever the defined benefit formula said their pension would be. So if it was going to be $1,000 a month based on the formula, they're going to receive $750 a month. Now, we would point out to this person, if you would wait 1 year to retire until you're 56 and you have 22 years of service, look what happens to the reduction. There are sweet spots in this chart. Most of the time, by waiting a year, you're going to reduce it by maybe just 5 or 6%. But this is going to give them 94% of whatever the formula indicated their pension would be. Well, this person said, thank you, Kathy, for letting me know that, but I've already taken a job with in the private sector. So I'm going to be getting a nice new salary. I don't actually need my pension yet. So I'm going to wait to take my pension. I'm still going to terminate my employment at 55, but I will age into less of a reduction. So they would be getting 97% when they do take that early retirement when they're 58 with 21 years of service. Now, while they were working for their ASRS employer, they also had the option to purchase 2 years of service. Now, in order to purchase service, you do have to be actively contributing. So you have to do this prior to your termination date. If you have public service elsewhere and you're not getting a retirement payment from that entity, then you can purchase those years of service. And that, again, they would be retiring early at 55, but they would have 23 years of service because they purchased 2 years of service. Now, we highly recommend that if any of you are thinking about retiring early, you check the benefit estimate tool through your secure account, because when you plug in an early retirement date, that benefit estimate will include the calculation for the reduction. So you don't have to try and figure out how much your pension will be reduced. Now, many people are not quite ready to retire when they reach normal retirement, and that's fine. You don't have to stop working when you reach normal retirement. If you work beyond that, it's considered late retirement. And you're going to find a lot of information online about that on our website. Because if actively contributing, the retirement benefit you have will continue to grow based on the formula. If you continue to work beyond normal retirement, your credited service will continue to increase. Therefore, by working longer, your pension will also increase. Maybe you're going to be getting to that next multiplier if you continue working. That's a great reason to continue working, because by getting to the next multiplier, you're really going to give your pension a nice bump. And also, by continuing to work, maybe you're going to be getting pay raises. That also will affect it. So very, very important. Just because you've reached normal retirement doesn't mean you have to stop working and retire. Now, if you do stop working and you become inactive, it is and you're at normal retirement, it's in your best interest to take your pension immediately, because there is absolutely no benefit to wait. Once you are inactive, the service stops growing, the multiplier will not increase, and of course your salary doesn't increase. So there is no reason to not take your pension. A lot of people get this confused with Social Security. They think if they wait until they're 66, 67, or 70 years old, their pension benefit will continue to grow and they'll be getting the maximum benefit. Not true with your ASRS pension. So if you are at normal retirement and you do terminate your employment, take your pension right away. Also, if you're not actively contributing, the IRS does require you to take your pension at 72 or face IRS penalties, and that can be up to 50%. The ASRS will begin notifying you at age 65 that you need to take your pension if you're not working. Now, to recap so far, this slide shows the difference between early, normal, and late retirement monthly benefits. The chart on this slide demonstrates the same age and same salary and different service levels. The service years and graded multiplier are shown, and as you can see, it makes quite a big difference in the lifetime benefit amount. And if you know you will be working beyond normal retirement, you can use your Secure My ASRS account to calculate your late retirement benefit by plugging in that later date. So now I'm going to talk about long-term disability. This is an income replacement program if you should become unable to work due to a long-term illness, injury, or disability. There is a 6-month waiting period from your date of disability before payments begin. This means that if you don't have enough annual sick or short-term disability leave through your employer, you could go those 6 months without any pay. But this is really important. If you are eligible, the long-term disability benefit can pay up to 66 2/3 of your monthly compensation. And also, while on long-term disability, you will be accruing credited service, working your way towards normal retirement. Now, you do need to know, though, if you decide to refund your money or retire, you are no longer eligible for long-term disability. So if you find yourself in this situation, we hope it doesn't happen to any of you, but please, before you decide to refund your account, go talk to your human resources and ask for a long-term disability packet. To be able to receive 66 2/3 of your salary and accrue service and then retire and get a lifetime pension is a much better choice than refunding your account. All right, in this section, we're going to be discussing the 7 different annuity options that are available to you at the time of your retirement. But we want you to consider these 2 important questions when making your decision. Number 1, how much money do you want at retirement? And number 2, do you want or need to leave money to a beneficiary? There are 7 options for you to choose from, but you can only elect one. All right, so any benefit estimate that you have has this information on it. It's got general information about your name, your date of birth, your future retirement date, and a benefit estimate will always default to your earliest normal retirement date. Your age at retirement, and then you can see it will also show your credited service that we're looking at, the average monthly salary, how many points you have if the point system applies to you, and your graded multiplier. So when you multiply those 3 factors of the formula, that is going to give you this top annuity option that you see on this screen, which is straight life annuity. Straight life annuity is the highest amount you can receive, and it is the actual sum of your formula. Now, the next 3 options you have are the 5-year, 10-year, and 15-year term certain. And you can see there's a reduction going on here. And then the other 3 are the joint and survivor options, 100%, 66 2/3, and the 50% option. Now I'm going to go over those in more detail in just a moment, but I first want you to understand the spousal consent law. Because for those of you who are married, when selecting a pension option, you need to know about this law. Pre-retirement, before you retire, members must elect their spouse to receive at least 50% of any survivor benefit that's on account. Now, at the time of retirement, married members must select at least a joint and survivor 50% option with their spouse as beneficiary. If you want to select a different beneficiary or annuity option, then your spouse must complete a notarized waiver, also called a spousal consent form. All right, so now we're going to go through those annuity options, starting with straight life annuity, which is designed to pay you, the retiree, the most amount of money for the rest of your lifetime. But now this is very important. It doesn't guarantee a benefit to a beneficiary. This annuity will only pay your survivors your remaining account balance, if any, upon your death. Now, do you remember how long I said before that it takes before your account balance is depleted? Right, your account balance is normally exhausted within 6 to 8 years of your retirement. So if you live beyond that 6 to 8 years, there's nothing left in the account to be paid to your beneficiaries. Also be aware that if you select straight life annuity, you are locked in and you can't change to another annuity option. The straight life annuity allows you to choose multiple primary beneficiaries, which can include people, trusts, and organizations. With any option, you can designate secondary beneficiaries, which also can be people, multiple people, trusts, and organizations. So the next three options on your benefit estimate are always going to be the term certain options, 5, 10, and 15 years. And notice how as the term increases, your benefit decreases. This is because the term certain options guarantee beneficiary benefits for a certain period of your retirement years. Your benefit is reduced based on your age at retirement and the length of the term that you choose. The retiree will receive a lifetime benefit. And if the retiree passes away before all payments in the term that you choose are made, then the remaining payments for that term will be paid to your beneficiaries. The 5, 10, 15-year term certain annuity options allow you to choose multiple primary beneficiaries, which again can be people, multiple people, trusts, and organizations. With any option, you can designate secondary beneficiaries, which can also be people, trusts, and organizations. So let's break each of these options down. If you choose the 5-year term certain, that's a total of 60 reduced payments. So 5 times 12 equals 60. If you pass away after the 50th payment has been made to you, then that leaves 10 payments remaining to be paid to your beneficiaries. When those 10 payments have been paid, that means the 5-year term has been satisfied and no more payments will be made and the account will be closed. Now, an example of why you might choose this option, well, let's say your car will be paid off in the next 5 years. And if you pass away within that time frame, you know your spouse or your children, they do rely on this money to make that car payment. If you choose the 10-year term certain, that's a total of 120 reduced payments for you, the member. If you pass away after the 118th payment has been made, then there will be 2 remaining payments left to pay to your beneficiaries. After that, then the 10-year term has been satisfied and no more payments will be made and the account will be closed. If you choose the 15-year term certain, that's a total of 180 reduced payments for you, the member. If you pass away after the 180th payment has been made, then that leaves nothing to be left to your beneficiaries. Now, an example of why you might choose a 10 or 15-year term certain, well, let's say your mortgage is $1,700 a month, and you know that if you pass away before that mortgage is paid off, and your mortgage is going to be paid off within 15 years, but if you passed away before the 15 years, they wouldn't have your money to be able to pay the mortgage. They'd have to move from your home. So in that case, you think it's a better option to go with the 15-year term certain to ensure that they can make those mortgage payments. And then you feel confident that once the mortgage has been paid off, they don't need your pension any longer and they'll be just fine. Now you may wonder if you can change your annuity options after they've been selected. Well, there are two circumstances that will allow you to change your options. If your beneficiary passes away before you, or you get a divorce from your beneficiary, then you can either select a new beneficiary, which is always an option for you, or you can elect to take straight life annuity. This means that you will jump back up to that higher paid amount each month. But when you pass away, there's likely nothing in the account to be paid to any beneficiaries. And this is very important about the term certain. If you outlive the 5, 10, or 15-year term certain, then ASRS will automatically change your election to straight life annuity, paying you more for the remainder of your lifetime. All right, so let's talk about the joint and survivor annuity option. These are designed to pay you a reduced monthly lifetime benefit and pays a lifetime benefit to your primary beneficiary upon your death. By looking at the sample estimate to the right, you can notice that there's a reduction when compared to the straight life annuity. And this reduction is based on the age of the retiree and the age of the primary beneficiary. If a member elects a joint and survivor annuity option, this will pay the retiree for their lifetime. Once the retiree passes away, then the beneficiary, which can be one person, and it has to be a person, it can't be a trust or organization, will receive a benefit for their lifetime of either 100%, 66 2/3, or 50% of the retiree's pension. If you select any of the joint and survivor annuity options, you must select one primary beneficiary, and it must be a person. You can designate secondary beneficiaries, which can be multiple people, trusts, or organizations. But secondaries will only receive a survivor payment if both the retiree and the primary beneficiary pass away when there are still funds left in the employee account. So again, within 6 to 8 years. Joint and survivor options will never continue to a third lifetime benefit. So let's talk specifically about the 100% joint and survivor option. If you choose this option, you are going to be receiving a reduced pension for the rest of your life. And when you pass away, the beneficiary will receive the same amount for the remainder of his or her lifetime. 100%, the same amount. Now, an example of why you might choose the 100% option, well, again, let's say you've got a $1,700 mortgage and you owe 25 years on it. So you know that your beneficiary is dependent on your pension to make that payment. So when you pass away, they would receive the same amount you received, ensuring that they continue to make that payment upon your passing. Now, if electing the 66 2/3 joint and survivor option, you're going to be receiving a reduced pension. It's going to be less of a reduction than the 100% was. And when you pass away, then your beneficiary will receive 66 2/3 of your benefit for the rest of his or her lifetime. Now, when the surviving beneficiary passes away, then the account is closed. What about the 50% joint and survivor option? Well, you're still going to be getting a reduction, but less of a reduction than the other two. And when you pass away, your beneficiary will receive 50% of your benefit for the rest of his or her lifetime. Now, an example of why you might choose the 66 2/3 or the 50% option. Let's say your beneficiary has their own income, but they do rely on your pension for $300 car payment. And when you pass away, they don't need the full amount that you received during your lifetime, but they will need something to continue to make that car payment and probably future car payments. So it's important to review these options with your beneficiaries to make sure that you're making the right decision based on your wants and needs. If you decide to choose one of the joint and survivor annuity options, there are age restrictions, but only if your beneficiary is not your spouse. There are no age restrictions for your spouse. So if you wanted to choose the 100% joint and survivor option and you have a non-spouse beneficiary, they can't be more than 10 years younger than you. For the 66 2/3 option, your non-spouse beneficiary cannot be more than 24 years younger than you. And with the 50% option, there are no age restrictions. So remember, these restrictions are only if you are choosing someone other than your spouse, or maybe you're single and you don't have a spouse. Now, keep in mind that the reduction is always based on your age and the age of your beneficiary. There are 2 events that will allow you to change your joint and survivor option. If your beneficiary passes away before you, or you get a divorce from your beneficiary, then you can either select a new beneficiary that falls within the age restriction for that option that you chose, or you can elect to take the straight life annuity option. This means that you will jump back up to the higher paid amount each month. But when you pass away, there's likely nothing in the account to be paid to beneficiaries. All right, so now we're going to talk about the partial lump sum. This is a one-time opportunity that you have to receive a lump sum amount at your first retirement in exchange for a reduced monthly benefit for the rest of your life. Now, with a partial lump sum, you can request 1 to 36 increments of your straight life annuity amount to be paid to you approximately 90 days after your retirement date. So for example, if you look on your benefit estimate, it shows a partial lump sum of 12 months and 36 months. So you do 12 months times the straight life annuity, that would equal your partial lump sum. Now, if you want to do the partial lump sum, you have to apply for it on your retirement application. That's the only option that you have. It's a one-time opportunity to do that. And you are agreeing to take a reduced pension for life based on the increment that you choose. And you're also reducing your account balance immediately. You can choose to have the funds directly dispersed to you. And if so, ASRS will automatically withhold 20% for federal taxes and 5% for state taxes. There may also be a 10% penalty depending on your age. And if you have any questions about that, you can consult a tax professional. That's because if you're under 59 and a half, the IRS could penalize you that 10%, but we don't know for sure. So that's why you would need to speak to a tax professional. You can also roll it into a qualified retirement account, which would then defer the taxes until you withdraw from that account. Now that would be like an IRA, a 401k, 457B, something of that nature. You can also do a combination of both, having a portion dispersed to you and then having the remaining rolled over into a qualified account. All right, so now we're going to talk about whether or not you can afford to retire. Now, members have told us, if only I knew, I would have planned better. Well, we want you to be prepared, so please consider these 3 very important topics when deciding if you can afford to retire. First, did you know your pension was never designed to be your only source of income when you retire? Most retirees have multiple sources of income to help them meet their financial goals during retirement. And that when you retire, you will be responsible for the entire cost for your health insurance, because in most cases, there's no longer any employer assistance. Also, there are no special tax tables for retirees. Experts forecast that you should plan to have 3 or 4 sources of retirement income. Now, these may include your ASRS pension, your Social Security, savings and IRA plans, personal investments, supplemental savings, deferred compensation, or other employer programs. Your contributions are tax deferred. Your pension is taxed. Each year, members who are retired, they receive a 1099-R form. It's sort of like a W-2, but for unearned income in retirement, as opposed to reporting working wages using the regular W-2. ASRS will withhold state taxes only for the state of Arizona. So if you're moving out of state, make sure that you consult with a tax professional in the state that you are moving to. And make sure that you turn off your Arizona state taxes, and that can easily be done through your secure account. Also, there is a $2,500 tax exclusion for Arizona residents if they are retiring from the state of Arizona and reside here. That means that if you have an income of, say, $50,000 in retirement, then you will be taxed on $47,500. It's not a special form you need or anything. It's automatically done when you are filing your taxes based on the codes that are input. All right, so there are options available and members should research all of these options within a year of retirement, in the calendar year that you are retiring, for your health insurance. So many of you are probably undecided. Some of you are going to go maybe with the Marketplace, the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare. Maybe you're going with AARP. Your employers, maybe they have some subsidy, or going with their COBRA program. Or maybe you can also enroll in your spouse's insurance if they're still working and on their employer health insurance. And then, of course, there is ASRS. There are hundreds, literally hundreds and hundreds of plans to choose from. So we really recommend that you do your research. Just make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. It's also important to compare your income status before and after retirement. Think about your current earned income minus your taxes and insurance. While employed, your employer is paying toward your insurance premiums. After retirement, your income will already be a fraction of what you were earning while employed in most cases, unless you were one of those people that worked 43.5 years, then it won't be a fraction. Most employers will stop subsidizing your health insurance costs when you retire, leaving you responsible for the full cost of insurance premiums. And this can make quite an impact on your take-home income. You must also consider your Medicare status when choosing health insurance. Non-Medicare retiree health insurance is not federally funded like Medicare. Therefore, you're going to want to be prepared to pay that higher insurance costs. That's why many people wait until they're Medicare eligible to retire. Now, please be aware that standard Medicare basically pays 80% of your medical costs. You are responsible for the remaining 20%. Now, if you still have questions on the ASRS retiree health insurance options, make sure that you check out all the topics, including health insurance basics e-learning. Just go to the retirees tab on our public website and then click on the healthcare link. More detailed information is also available on our healthcare page. You can view on-demand videos that cover everything you need to know. Now, this is everything you need to know about ASRS plans, not about all of the plans that are out there. But these are great resources and they're available to you 24/7. So you can watch them whenever it's convenient for you. Access the on-demand videos through our retirees tab, choose healthcare, and then the medical or dental plan link of choice. Now, there's a lot to consider when deciding if you can afford to retire. Fortunately, there is a wealth of information on the Retirement Central tab of our website for a quick review of the topics. Definitely take advantage of our website. It is really very, very good and very easy to follow. So let's now discuss the Service Purchase Program. This program allows you to purchase additional years and/or months of service credit for employment that you have had with other public entities. There are usually two reasons members want to purchase service. First is to increase your retirement benefit by increasing the service part or reach the next multiplier in the benefit formula. The second reason might be to reach normal retirement faster and at a younger age. There are some requirements to be eligible to purchase service. If your membership is on or after July 1st, 2010, you must have at least 5 years of service with ASRS in order to purchase service. This requirement does not apply if your membership was before July 1st, 2010, or if you are purchasing forfeited service. You must be actively contributing or on ASRS long-term disability. You will not have the option to purchase service when you are collecting a retirement benefit. If your membership date is before July 20th, 2011, then there's no limit on purchasing service. If your membership date is after July 20th, 2011, there is a 5-year limit to each type of service with the exception of forfeited service. The service purchase program is covered in our website and also in that Road to Retirement guidebook that you can download from our website. Now we're going to talk about the different types of service, starting with military service. And for all of you that have served in our U.S. military, we want to thank you very much for your service. Now you can purchase Reserve or National Guard active duty as long as you're not eligible to receive a benefit from the military for that same time. Now, there may be exceptions if you are eligible or receiving a non-regular Reserve Guard benefit. So you would need to refer to page 21 in our guidebook for additional information about that. You can purchase service time from other public employers anywhere in the country, but you must have been in a paid position. Other public service includes city, state, county, federal, or U.S. territories, full-time, part-time, seasonal, or temporary. As long as you are not eligible to receive a benefit from that entity, then you can purchase any months or years that you worked for them. Some examples are substitute teaching in New York, working on campus at the University of Minnesota, or maybe back in the day, you were a lifeguard and working for your parks district. If you worked for an ASRS employer, but contributions were not withheld. All right, so the other service purchase is leave of absence. If you took an approved leave of absence from an ASRS employer and returned to work for the same ASRS employer, you can purchase up to 1 year per occurrence. Now, to purchase military, other public service, and leave of absence, the way that we calculate the cost are these factors that are shown here: your current age, your current service, your current salary, and the amount of service being purchased. So you can see that the cost is specific to each member based on their factors. You can also use the service purchase estimators on our website to get a ballpark idea of the cost. And the final type of service purchase is if you worked for an ASRS employer and you contributed to ASRS, but you refunded your account when you left that employer. You can purchase that forfeited service back into your account. And there's no limit to the amount of forfeited service that you can purchase. The cost to purchase previously forfeited service is the amount that you were refunded plus any interest that would have accrued on the balance to date. Now remember, to buy service, you must be actively contributing. Service purchase is not for everyone. It can be very expensive. However, there is no obligation if you want to find out about what the cost is. You can make your final decision when you get the invoice. So basically, go on a fact-finding mission and find out if this is for you. To make a service purchase request, go online, sign into your secure account, and click the service purchase link. From there, you can learn about the different types of service to purchase and how purchasing service would benefit you. Click the Start My Service Purchase Request button. Choose your service purchase type, follow the screens, and submit your request. Shortly after you submit your request, the ASRS will send you an acknowledgement message with further instructions. You will receive an invoice from the ASRS about 15 days from the time you submit the required documentation. Once you receive your invoice, you can purchase some of the time, all of the time, with maybe a 5-year limit, or none of it. And if you decide you don't want to do this, just let it expire. You don't need to call us or write to us. You're not going to be charged anything. Just let it expire. If you do choose to purchase, you can select your preferred method of payment, and payments need to be made within 60 days of the request. This information is always sent with the invoice, so don't think you have to remember all of this. And payment methods would include writing us an after-tax check, or rolling over from a qualified retirement account, or payroll deduction from with your employer. Now, once it's been paid, then the service is credited to your account. All right, so now there are some important timelines that you should know as you approach your retirement. Your retirement application can be submitted up to 6 months in advance. That's the earliest you can submit it. And your health insurance enrollment form can be submitted up to 3 months in advance of your retirement date. You must submit it at least a month prior, because the effective date for your insurance to begin is always the first of the month. Approximately 5 to 10 days after your retirement date, you can expect to receive your first estimated payment. An estimated payment is similar to a cash advance. Estimated payments are designed to tide you over until you receive your first regular pension payment. And you can receive up to 3 estimated payments while your first regular pension payment is being processed. You would get 1 a month for up to 3 months. And then once we've completed your processing, you're going to be receiving a retroactive pension payment and partial lump sum if you did apply for a partial lump sum. Now, the retroactive pension payment will be that month's pension payment, and it will also include anything that we may have underpaid you in your estimated payments. And then after that, and every month for the rest of your life, you're going to be receiving your first regular pension payment on the first of that next month. You can find a detailed timeline on our website and also in our Road to Retirement guidebook. So it's our responsibility to keep you informed, and it's your responsibility to stay informed as members of the Arizona State Retirement System. Now, did you know that you can apply for your retirement online? You can submit your online retirement application, as we said before, up to 6 months in advance of your retirement date, or actually right up until the actual day of your retirement. So you're going to log into your ASRS secure account, and under Apply Now, click on Retirement. That's going to start the application process. The process is easy, convenient, and secure. And there's no need to worry, because the system will walk you step by step through the application, and pop-ups will appear with relevant information. Keeping us informed of your changes will ensure that we are able to communicate with you whenever it's needed. Many changes can be made simply by logging into your secure account. Pre-retirement, you can update and change your contact information, beneficiary details, and even customize your personal benefit estimates. Ultimately, the My ASRS secure account is how you apply for your retirement. So we encourage you to get online and take a look at that application so you become familiar with it. Now, post-retirement, you will still be using your account for contact updates, direct deposit updates, and if you want to change your tax elections or print payment history. You always have access to member secure messaging and that's where you can ask questions and submit documents to ASRS. It's far more secure than sending through regular email or the US mail or faxing. So we really want you to take advantage of member secure messaging. The ASRS updates our website with lots of information so you can stay informed and stay up to date. Visit our website, and that's where you can receive newsletters. You can find out what kind of legislation is going on through the bill tracker, news releases, the ASRS health insurance, and I'm sorry, easy for me to say, right? The ASRS group health insurance guide and more. All right, so happy planning and thanks very much for attending today's presentation. Thank you for having us, and we'll continue to answer your questions in the chat.
Thank you very much, Kathy. And let me go ahead and get some information going here on the screen. So right now, first of all, again, thank you to all of our presenters tonight. A lot of information, a lot of great information. Thank you to all of our attendees. I know it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of information that was presented tonight. Within the Q&A, one of the big items that kept coming up in the Q&A was, will the materials be made available to us at a later time? As the benefit staff, our goal is to be able to get all of the materials uploaded into the employee network under the benefit SharePoint page. You can always email benefits@TUSD1.org. If you're not quite sure of that direct link, we'll be happy to send that to you once we have the materials uploaded, and I'm really hoping to have that up no later than next week. Right now, you can see on the screen, if you want to take this information down, do a snapshot for your records. But again, if you don't obtain the information here, feel free to reach out and we'll get this to you. Also in the Q&A, Mark Powers, I know Serena from ESI and Angel over with Arizona State Retirement have also included some of their helpful links within the Q&A. But again, all of that information we will consolidate to a page that we can upload to our webpage, our SharePoint page. And we will still be on for a few minutes here if you'd like to stay on and continue to bring those questions through the Q&A. And once again, I really appreciate you all taking the time this evening to join us for this seminar. And again, please reach out if you have any questions. We'll be happy to either answer your questions directly from the benefit staff or direct you to the proper person to get those answered. Presenters, it's 6:51 right now, so about 7 o'clock I'll be just wrapping it up. But again, I wanted to thank you very much for attending the seminar this evening and bringing a wealth of information to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosie. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rosie.